I shot you once, I'll do it again.
Oh, I still get tingles remembering it. But you really should consider my offer. How could you deny yourself such an impossibly delicious prospect?
The same way I deny myself all other repulsive things. Now please, please stop talking to me.
Oh, happy day! His Majesty, the King of Albion, graces us with his radiant presence. I knew last time we met that you would emerge victorious from such public sibling rivalry. And now here I am, to assist you in filling your coffers till they are fit to burst. What better way to begin your reign than by reinstating one of my most successful policies? There is no greater waste than the idleness of our city's youth, but my employment scheme guarantees children of all ages will have something to occupy them, whilst ensuring our factories are properly manned.
It's just monstrous. Don't listen to him. You promised you would end child labor. Remember that promise now.
And what would you have us do with the snotty little indigents?
The only way Bowerstone is going to climb out of the gutter is through education. Nothing is more important to our future than that. Turn this factory into a school. Give the children of this city the chance they never had.
A school? Oh, that's an original thought. Well, if you'd like to be known as a pauper monarch, then by all means, listen to her. Reaver Industries will abide by your decision. You need gold, Your Majesty, just as your brother did. Don't let sentimentality get in the way.
You're not seriously considering his proposal, are you? You made a promise!
You ought to consider the financial benefits, Your Majesty. After all, wages ought to decrease in direct proportion to the size of the employee.
You will lose more than just my support if you bring back child labor. The people will hate you for it.
Just think of the magnificent smoke that will flow through the skies again, and of the lack of juvenile delinquency.
You are better than your brother. Don't repeat his mistakes.
The factory will be reopened as it was. We need all the workers we can get.
A most astute choice, Your Majesty. I shall begin the necessary modifications at once.
I will never forgive you for this. After all we've done, you're no different to Logan.
What?
Welcome to the reopening of Reaver Industries Youth Center, where we care for your young 20 hours a day, teach them valuable skills, and ensure they never, ever get into trouble.
All stand to attention for the King of Albion.
It's rather different to our sewer headquarters here, isn't it?
Another fine day for a hearing, is it not?
Today, you will decide what is to be done with the Bowerstone Old Quarter, site of the Battle for Albion. Paige will offer her proposal. Reaver shall stand against her.
You may speak.
Your Majesty, our victory came at a great cost to the city. You have done little to improve the lives of your citizens since you came to power. But it's not too late to start. I ask that the old quarter be rebuilt, and its former residents rehomed. You wouldn't just be helping those in great need. You'd be sending a message to your people. They're scared, Your Majesty. Let them know they can count on you.
Your Majesty, the Old Quarter was indeed devastated by your glorious triumph, but as its name subtly implies, it was old. The cost of rebuilding the area would be a colossal waste of money, and the people who called its decrepit shambles of streets and houses their home are better off without it. Besides, one must question what they have to offer our society. Why build homes for the inept and the unskilled? I recommend you reject Page's proposal and keep the money for more deserving endeavors.
It was our actions that caused the devastation, Your Majesty. But the final decision rests with you.
Now is not the time to build houses. We had other priorities. The request is denied.
The king has reached his decision. The Old Quarter shall become a monument to our victory, and is to be left untouched.
Sanity prevails. And do not fret. I shall make sure there is no negative publicity attached to your decision.
You have turned your back on those who need you the most. I wonder if anything has really changed since we overthrew your brother.
Despite the heartless demands of the greedy few, we are proud to announce that the historic site of Bowerstone Old Quarter will forever be preserved as a monument to this city's greatest triumph. Join me, Reaver, in saluting our proud heritage.
All stand for the king.
I have some wonderful ideas. The look I have in mind for this place is just so you.
If you will allow me, I will transform this tedious castle into something rather magnificent.
Today you decide on the decor of the castle. Two of Albion's greatest interior designers have come to present their suggestions.
You may speak.
Your Majesty, I am Herman Worthy, and I have a design in mind that will blow your little royal socks off. Imagine a celestial scheme capable of lifting the shadows that haunt these halls. A fabulous balance of serene hues that announce to the world, I am a strong, virtuous leader. Hear me roar. But also, look how pretty my home is. You are an enlightened king. Let the heart of your castle be enlightened too.
Celestial? Serene? Pretty? Do you wish to be known as a ruler or as a fool? I propose that we flood the rooms and corridors with blood, or at least a suitable paint substitute. Let all those who look upon this palace know terror, whether they be your subjects or your enemies.
It may seem trivial, but appearances can affect the opinion of the entire kingdom. The choice is yours, Your Majesty.
I wish this to be a fortress of dread.
The readers of Castle Design Weekly will be delighted with your intelligent choice.
Well, I, for one, am seriously considering cancelling my subscription. You're all witches!
Today you decide on the future of Aurora, Your Majesty. Kaelin will speak for her people. Reva will dispute her cause.
You may speak.
I am here to seek the protection you promised. It is too long since my people felt safe, or knew of life without suffering. We were honored to join your fight to claim Albion. Now it is time we joined your kingdom. Do what your brother failed to do. Help us to rebuild Aurora, and protect it as you would your own land.
There is nothing so noble as embracing other cultures, and I, for one, could not be happier to count Aurora as part of Albion. But surely they must work for that privilege, and I happen to know just how to put them to good service. There is an abandoned mine in the Auroran desert that holds enough materials to benefit the whole kingdom. Let us employ Kaelin and her people to gather what resources there may be. That can be their payment.
You are talking about forced labor.
Well, let's not get bogged down in semantics. It's a fair transaction.
I know you will not break your oath. You understand what we have been through.
The choice is yours, Your Majesty.
My people have suffered enough. It is peace we need, not forced servitude.
By all means, let us make Aurora part of Albion, but let's make sure they pay the full price of admission.
Do not turn your back on us now, Majesty. My people need you.
Just think of all the lovely resources that are waiting beneath the Auroran rock. It would be a crime not to make use of such a convenient workforce.
Aurora will become part of Albion, but they must work for this privilege.
The king has spoken. Aurora shall be mined for resources. Its people shall receive the protection of the throne in exchange for their labor.
You are no better than your brother. He may have left us to die, but you wish only to exploit us.
Welcome to the new and improved Aurora, an oasis of friendship, camaraderie, and valuable resources. Visit the city that Riva Industries rebuilt from sand and tour the local mines, where you can witness the Aurorans' refreshingly vigorous work ethic. Aurora, a gem glowing in the darkness.
His Majesty, the King of Albion.
I'm anxious to begin, Your Majesty. I wish to discuss an issue that is very close to my own heart.
I think you will find my proposal today quite delicious.
The city of Bowerstone is counting on you. Please don't let them down.
Have you ever noticed how starved of affection the people of this city are? I intend to remedy that.
Do it for us. There are some.
I know Riva has his uses, but I wish he was made to stay out of these discussions.
Show them your royal magnificence.
Here we are again, ready to tackle the marvelous world of government and free enterprise.
I know Riva has his uses, but I wish he was made to stay out of these discussions.
This hearing concerns the future of the Bowerstone Shelter and Orphanage. Paige will speak for the disenfranchised people of the city. Riva will dispute her cause.
You may speak.
Your Majesty, the shelter has long been the only refuge for the homeless, the poor, and the orphaned. And until we can change the whole world for the better, it will continue to be their only hope of survival. Isn't it time we held out a helping hand to those who need it most? The shelter is underfunded and the building has fallen into disrepair. Invest in the shelter and orphanage, and perhaps we can begin to create a better future for Albion's forgotten people.
I could not agree more. The city and its people are in dire need. But it is not charity they require, it is love. I propose we use this dilapidated building to help both them and ourselves, for love and money have always gone hand in hand. Let us inaugurate Bowerstone's first brothel.
A brothel?
Brothel, bordello, whorehouse. The name is unimportant. What matters is that the people get the love they need, and we get their money.
Yes, it's for your majesty to decide. Refurnish the shelter and orphanage, or convert it into a house of ill repute.
It is time Bowerstone had its first whorehouse.
The shelter shall become a brothel.
Excellent, Your Majesty. I will see to it immediately. And I mean immediately.
This is exploitation, Your Majesty. Your people won't be pleased.
Does your heart have a sizable hole that can be filled only with love? Do your pockets jingle with leftover gold? Then Riva Industries is pleased to present the House of Requited Affection, where money really does guarantee happiness.
Today, you will deal with a pressing environmental issue: the disposal of the city's waste. Riva will offer his proposal. A member of the Morningwood community will stand against him.
You may speak.
Your Majesty, I'm sure you will have noticed a certain aroma permeating the city of late, even more nauseating than usual. I fear it is not merely the stench of the underprivileged. Bowerstone is beginning to have a serious waste disposal issue. We require an inexpensive and efficient solution, and I believe I have hit upon one. Now, currently, part of our waste is being disposed of in the Morningwood marsh. With very little effort, Riva Industries could redirect all of the Bowerstone sewer system to flow directly into that region. As you know, it's a desolate place with no financial or cultural value to the kingdom. There can be little discussion as to the logic of this decision.
Hang on, this isn't right. Not right at all. We're all children of the soil. It's in our hearts, it's in our blood. It's under our fingernails. What I mean is, we're all equal when it comes to dirt, like. From dirt we come to dirt we go, yes? We who reside in Morningwood have as good a claim to being clean as anyone. And what of Morningwood itself? Its nature spirits, its woodland elves, and water fairies. Do they not deserve freedom from pollution too? Don't destroy paradise with your urban dregs, man. Channel the waste. Be one with the cycle of life. You have all these, like, factories and stuff, don't you? Turn one into a, what do you call it? One of those things, a sewage reclamation facility, right on.
What shall you decide, Your Majesty?
Morningwood will be granted the honor of receiving the city's sewage.
The king has spoken. The waste from the city of Bowerstone shall be channeled into Morningwood.
I shall begin the flushing immediately, Your Majesty.
Oh, this is heavy. This is totally heavy. You've turned Granny Nature into your toilet bowl. But she'll fight back. You'll see. One day, in like a 1,000 years, she'll fight right back, man.
There is nothing as important as the health and hygiene of our citizens. As such, Riva Industries is delighted to announce the opening of the Morningwood Sewer Reservoir, eliminating Bowerstone's most pungent pollution. Emptying one's bowels has never been safer, or such a pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, the king.
This should be interesting. Either way, someone's going to be spitting.
Today you decide on the status of the Brightwall Academy, Your Majesty. Samuel will speak for the town and its scholars. Riva will dispute his cause.
You may speak.
Your Majesty, it was your father who opened the doors to Albion's greatest seat of learning. Under his rule, knowledge and culture flourished, and so did the people of Brightwall. I ask only that you return to the wisdom of those days. Your brother closed the academy down, but it is in your hands to restore it.
There is no greater proponent of the arts than myself, and I celebrate knowledge in all its forms. But our people are frightened and confused. The last thing they need is knowledge. Allow them the benefit of ignorance. Let only those who are truly prepared make use of the academy. The elite of our society will pay handsomely to indulge in erudition.
But only the rich will be able to afford to learn.
Precisely. Why give wisdom away when one can charge for it?
What do you wish to do, Your Majesty?
The Brightwall Academy will be reopened as promised, but we will charge admission fees.
The Brightwall Academy shall be reopened to those who can afford its services.
If that is how it must be, very well. But I am deeply disappointed you have broken your promise.
Very good. I will make arrangements at once. Stimulate your intellect in the newly reopened Brightwall Academy. Suckle the knowledge from the land's greatest minds and avail yourself of the best library ever assembled. The reasonable enrollment fees are within reach of almost 1% of the population, so don't delay. Brightwall Academy. As long as you earn, it's the place to learn.
The court summons Page and Reaver. The matter before you today is the future of Bower Lake. Reaver will offer his proposal. Page will stand against him.
You may speak.
Your Majesty, a recent survey of Bower Lake has found that the waterbed is rich in valuable metals. Now, as amusing as it would be to make workers hold their breath as they mine these resources, I fear it would be impractical. Instead, we have no choice but to dam the river and drain the lake of all water. Once that is done, we will have a ready-made quarry, ripe for the plucking. It will be a pity to disfigure the landscape so close to my former home, but it is a sensible course of action in light of our current needs.
Bower Lake is the last piece of natural beauty remaining in Bowerstone. It belongs to our history and should be protected. Don't take it away from us. You'll be taking away part of this city's soul with it.
Oh, really?
You may not have improved the people's lives inside this city, but are you also going to destroy the one place they can find peace?
The decision is yours to make, Your Majesty.
We need the resources in Bower Lake. It will become a quarry.
The king has ruled. Bower Lake shall be drained and mined for resources.
I applaud your enterprising spirit. The lake shall be drained at once.
I fought for you, but you've turned your back on your people. Majesty.
Behold the ugliness of nature, so miserly in its gifts, its very lakeness, an affront to all good sense. Now see it transformed into an exquisite monument to human ingenuity. Soil and rock offering up life and hope to thousands. How can one fail to be moved by such generosity? Reaver Industries proudly presents the Bower Pits.
His Majesty, the King of Albion.
Please, I am anxious to begin.
Perhaps a council of nobles like us.
I'm sure you will find today's matter a mere trifle, hardly worthy of your notice.
Your Majesty, we desperately need your help.
And how is your Majesty this fine day?
I have traveled far to be here today. I hope it has not been in vain.
I predict a thoroughly enjoyable judgment today.
Please, I am anxious to begin.
Today you must decide how much protection to grant Aurora. Kaelin will offer her proposal. Riva will stand against her.
You may speak.
Your Majesty, as you know, the threat from the deserts that surrounds my city has not diminished. The darkness could fall upon us once more at any moment. Aurora is part of your kingdom now, and I ask that you grant us protection. Build a desert outpost that can warn my people should the crawler attack. It shall allow us to leave the city in time and ensure the survival of your loyal subjects.
A desert outpost? I've never heard such nonsense. What shall we do next? Erect taverns under the sea? Plant crops on mountain peaks? It is a foolhardy suggestion. Why should our valiant soldiers suffer sunstroke and chapped lips in a distant land when they could be protecting the people of this very city? Is it really worth risking the lives of all the people outside these walls for a mere alarm system? Of course not. Let us leave the funds and the soldiers where they belong, right here.
The darkness poses a threat to us all. But Aurora has already suffered more than its fair share. The final decision rests with you, Your Majesty.
An outpost would be a waste of resources. Aurora is safe enough for now.
The King's decision is final. The military presence on the streets of Aurora is deemed sufficient for the protection of its citizens.
It is heartening to see reason prevail. Bravo, Your Majesty, bravo.
We saved your life once. Now you condemn us to death? Is that your idea of fair requital?
Bring forth Sabine of the mistpeak dwellers. Today you decide on the fate of Mistpeak, home of the dwellers, Your Majesty. Sabine will speak for his people and their land. Riva will dispute his cause.
You may speak.
I come here seeking nothing but what was promised me and my people. You pledged to restore our home mountains and our right to dwell in them. We have fulfilled our end of the bargain. We have paid with our lives to sit you on that throne. Now you must fulfill your end. Undo the damage your brother did to our land, and our agreement shall be satisfied.
Your Majesty, this sounds both an unnecessary expense and an impudent demand. What value is there in a few trees languishing amongst snow and rock? This is not the time to indulge some idyllic fantasy. Those forests are a resource, and we are in dire need of resources. I propose we expand on your brother's initiative and take what nature offers so readily. Say the word, and I will transform the worthless wasteland of Mistpeak into assets we can use to defend Albion.
These hands are not yet so old or weak that I can't wring that pretty little neck of yours, Reaver.
The refined retort of a true mountain goat.
You made a promise to Sabine, but it's up to you whether you decide to honor it.
The forests of Mistpeak are too important to waste. They will make a valuable resource.
Mistpeak and its forests shall be logged to fuel the kingdom's defense efforts.
You have made an enemy for life, King. Beware a second revolution doesn't take this land before you can save it.
The forests of Mistpeak are our greatest national treasure, and now, thanks to Reaver Industries, you can enjoy them too. Ships, weapons, and furniture are just some of the many wonders available to you now. Remember, nature wants us to use her.